Go. What's going on, everybody? It's been a little bit since we started talking about spoilers on this channel recently. I'm here with Aaron now, also on the Raleigh Raider team,
What's
and
up?
we're going to take on the last week of spoilers here. Week one, we kind of didn't get off the ground here, but I'm sure they'll be alluded to along the way, and then maybe we'll go back and do it later. But this video is just going to be dedicated to the week two of the spoiler review. So we're going to talk about the new leaders, and then we're going to kind of break it down by the aspects and call out some of the main stuff that we liked with kind of a filler slide at the end of stuff that maybe wasn't as impactful. So we'll just go ahead and get right into it. We'll start with just the leaders we got here. I'll let you just go ahead and start talking about where you want to go here, Aaron.
Well, I'll tell you that I love exactly one of these guys.
I think I'm kind of in the same train as you.
I think that Darth Vader's probably it's just kind of a reprint of his first set leader. Instead of paying a resource, you have to discard a card from hand. They did mention that there's going to be some like discard pile signature or synergy in this
Right.
set with another discard synergistic leader coming out. And I have to be honest, I'm glad to hear that. Obviously, you have the opportunity for his explosive flip turns of flipping, but we'll see if the game slows down enough for a 7 deploy leader to be considered aggro.
Right.
Jin, want to love her so bad, but there's just and I think Blue Heroism in general is in a tough spot. There are no
Yeah.
leaders right now that have a impactful ability that doesn't either cost one resource
Right.
or require that there's some damage. I think the all-star here is Krennic for sure. I mean, talking about this is what you want to see in the 7 deploy leader is a flip that is immediately impactful,
Right.
stops your opponent in their tracks,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I love his ability.
My thing with Krennic is like the leader side. I'm not the biggest fan of like sacrificing your own board, and it's not necessarily my playstyle either. So it'll be really interesting to see on the credit stuff to defeat a friendly unit. I mean, that's the same thing we kind of saw on stream with the Java leader. It's like you're sacrificing your own board, but for what cost, right? Like if your opponent can
Yeah.
answer that one big play that you have, then it's kind of all for naught. Obviously, the when deployed is a little bit more interesting to me. It's kind of akin to Yoda. And I can see something like plotting out the first light, where you're kind of getting it all to go off at once, which would be really, really solid to me.
Yeah.
There's other cards that we're going to show, alluding to, that kind of work well with him.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah. I think
you-
just
yeah, go ahead.
no, you go.
All right. Well,
I
I
think-
guess the other thing with Jen is like she kind of also gives Yoda vibes too. Like if you can,
Right.
I think if you can do like a credit token to pay that action every single time, that could be really interesting. And you're filtering your deck. Again, not necessarily my play style to be kind of dirtily and playing out sentinels and stuff to have stuff crash into your units, but I could really see that play style coming to the forefront with her kind of being that blue green hero where you're filtering your deck every time something is being
Yeah.
defeated on your side of the board.
I was that's what I was sort of gonna say is that like it looks like they just took the Yoda leader and then split it into two
Right.
separate leaders, but then made his ability slightly worse for both. Jin is a trait specific card draw and it costs
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
And Krennic deals damage. He doesn't defeat, he deals damage. So shields or anything like that, kind of, and he doesn't have restore on his flip side. Makes it tough if you're flipping into a wide board.
Right.
That without overwhelming barrage in the set now, that taking out 1 or 2 units may not be enough against
Right.
those like huge aggro decks anymore.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, just circling back to Vader real quick, a few thoughts on that. Like, he obviously comes out super duper late, but I think some of the crazy stuff that you could potentially do with him with like the Synta Kaz plot and everything like that, like he could be the next one turn kill, the OTK leader here, kind of in
Yeah.
the same vein as Kylo. And there's a there's a legendary that got spoiled this week that I think could be really really interesting with him as well. So that is kind of a brief overview of some of these leaders. I think it'll be interesting to see how they fit into the meta going forward. I definitely could see some viability here on all of these. I'm talking myself a little bit more into Jin right now, honestly, as we're talking
Yeah,
about it.
no,
Like,
honestly, same.
her being a little bit of a green-blue, filtering through your deck, playing big things, sentinels, and kind of the ability going off because of what your opponent's doing, not necessarily what you're doing. And then if you could spend a credit token to do that action every turn, I mean, that's basically a free-ish action at that point. So we'll see how these credit tokens work, but I mean, that sounds really interesting to me. But we'll just go ahead and jump into the next slide here of the blue stuff. Where do you want to start here on this slide?
I want to start with my favorite rebels. I'm a huge Rogue One fan. I think everybody who knows me knows that about myself.
Okay.
Bodhi's a juicer. Sintakaz is a juicer, especially when we get into command talking about Haymaker.
Yeah.
These conditional sentinels that come out early and they have like the big butts that let them stay in the game. I mean, instead you can have like if you put down Sintakaz on 3, then you can have a 4/6 sentinel on resource 4 and still have resources available. You know, it's not quite as expensive as Captain Typho, and I mean, Bodhi being able to talking about aggro just stops it in its tracks. A 2-cost 2/4 sentinel is massive.
Yeah, and I mean, these two cards, they got revealed alongside Jin, right? And they obviously have clear synergy with her, and kind of what we were alluding to, where you make Bodhi his own sentinel if you need to, and then all of a sudden, you know, your opponent's kind of triggering Jin's ability for you. I could see Sintakaz kind of popping off in an Obi-Wan Virgin's Temple kind of style deck. You immediately make her a 4/6 sentinel. That's kind of nuts. And then, even without the sentinel ability, right, we know 3/5 is a good stat line. So, like... she's just probably all around a very, very solid card, regardless of the conditional Sentinel ability. The artwork's also dope as hell to me.
No, totally.
You get a plus one for that as well.
I mean, hyperspace is going to go crazy.
Yeah, right. The Bodhi, the 2/4 stat line, like these are the stat lines we want. So
yeah, I mean, becoming a 3. I'm talking about Obi-Wan Virgin's Temple, becoming a 3/5 Sentinel on turn 2, like is, and then still being able to put bodies behind him. It's huge, but. I mean, all of that kind of can go out the window if you get our new Super Laser Blast.
Yeah, no, I mean, that card is, puns intended a little bit, kind of looming over the whole slide here. I think it's probably the all-star of the slide if we're looking at it.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the new legendaries. I think the legendary power is kind of increasing, which is really nice to see. The rainbow cards, as I like to call them, are really interesting, and I like seeing this not in blue-green as well.
Definitely. That's what I was going to say. It's nice to see them moving into a you know, if we're talking about unit-based removal in this game, then red's going to be your color. I think you get those overwhelms, you get the raids and saboteurs and whatnot to get through shields, and so it's nice to see this color taken out of the typical color scheme that you see.
Right. Well, I mean, I just love the burn effect of it too, right? Like, because I feel like Super Laser Blast to me, not necessarily a card that I was commonly playing, but when you are spending your entire turn to do it, and you just gotta hope that your opponent can't quickly rebuild the board. Which, anytime you play against a Super Laser Blast deck, you kind of was getting to a point where it was really easy to rebuild the board. But this way, right? If you know, all of a sudden we're doing 5 damage to base now, or there's a wide board.
That you have to, and then you have to be worried about a second one coming in and doing even more damage to your base.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it's a really, really great kind of upgrade to Super Laser Blast, and I think it makes a lot of sense for it to maybe necessarily be kind of aspect locked in a way behind two of these colors here. But I think it's going to be a solid legendary.
Even with just the one aspect off, I don't think that, you know, Control playing this at 8, obviously playing it for 10 doesn't feel quite as good. You have Agent Callus can play it for 9, which, you know, we already see people in the hard Control list playing Nebula Ignition. So it's not out of reach of that blue-green color scheme.
Right.
But it's still obviously
that's
better.
A good point. Because, I mean, if Nebula Ignition's getting played with the way it's getting played, and you're going to pay the same cost for that and Callus, right? And all of a sudden you're doing damage to base now. That makes a lot of sense, right? So let's talk about the other two cards on this slide here. I'll take the left, the Tree Remembers, and you can talk about Rogue One because it is a little bit more, I guess, it was spoiled alongside Jin. So the Tree Remembers, it reads to me like and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it reads to me like an absolute slam dunk windmill on any pilot leaders.
Yeah.
You gotta put it on anything. You gotta put your pilot leader on something that's gonna cost 4 or more now, which can be really tough if you're trying to establish a board as a pilot leader deck. Because, I mean, the way this reads, right, is if I put a Han Solo pilot on a Millennium Falcon, which the Millennium Falcon will be rotating out. It'll lose all of the abilities, so it loses the leader ability, and then you defeat that entire unit because it costs 3 or less, which
Yeah.
it's a really unique ability, a really unique way of doing it. I kind of like it a lot, and I think it's appropriately costed considering that it's probably going to be more so used against pilots like that. But it is going to be really, really scary playing pilot decks knowing this card exists.
Yeah, I think that I'm more excited about how this card, like what this card says about their control, their thoughts on control in general.
Okay.
That, they'd rather have 16 different removal cards that each have a specific way or a specific
Right.
type of removal that they do, rather than just having one Power of the Dark Side
Yeah.
that kills whatever or takedown. Like they're
Right.
looking at these slight differences so that there's still sideboard potential in
Right.
these
Yeah,
control
this-
events.
This is kind of reading like a smaller no glory only results
Yeah.
kind of card to me, right? Like that's kind of one of the main ways to deal with Chewbacca, and then this also clearly deals with Chewbacca too. So
Definitely.
it'll be interesting to see. And then and this is kind of a common theme that I'm seeing throughout the set too, and we'll talk about it when we talk about the ramp cards. But not locking these ramping and these control-y type of cards behind villainy aspects, like I think it just opens up deck building so much, and I just love that this set is doing the mono colors and these like ambiguous like ways to play the game. So that way, all of a sudden, we can put these ramp cards, these control-y kind of cards in heroism decks that we don't often see them in now.
Yeah. And speaking of defeating units, Rogue One coming in. It interestingly enough, it's not a when defeated ability, and it does not give your units a when defeated ability. So it's not quite useful in Thrawn. It's basically an Inferno 4 for everybody. It's not aspect lock behind villainy, which is nice.
Right.
But a 3-cost 3/3 is not a great stat line. It's not really solving any problems.
Yeah.
And there's no leader right now that takes, besides Jin, that gets use out of this unit dying so
Yeah.
much. We don't need anything that like stacks decks. Maybe Lando, but I don't think you're playing Lando in blue. Love the card, love Rogue One, but I don't know how much we'll see this one, how much we'll see this one a lot. But I'm also not very much of a blue player, so I will happily be wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean, a 3/3 for 3 in space is just kind of not great, especially when blue leaders are all over the place just doing their thing.
Yeah, blue leaders and
Card's a menace. But I mean, this definitely makes Jin's ability to look at 5 cards now, I guess, which is really interesting.
yeah.
But I mean, when you do put it in the context of Inferno 4, it's just like, what are we doing here? Because it's a worse ability. So like, it's a meh card for me. Great movie, meh card. All right.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know if we talked about the cloaking one.
Oh, no,
I
we
don't
did
see
not.
a ton of uses for this one. I'm thinking Talzin. I'm thinking Darth
Yeah.
Maul.
Yep. Those are the two I had written down, actually.
Yeah, we haven't seen any of the red villainy or the last or any of the last red villainy or the blue villainy
Right.
cards this set or leaders this set, but it's fun. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's a new age bravado. Being able to
Yeah.
shield your leader and swing again. But yeah, Talzin -2/-2 and Darth Maul, pinging tooth. So we'll see. But I don't know, 5 is a
Just
lot.
five
The
is
double
so-
aspects is also kind of a thing in a way too. So
Yeah.
all right, next slide here. All right, let's talk about some command cards. There's a lot to go over here.
There is a lot of
And,
command this week.
yeah. There was, and the Krennic kind of brought a lot of this to the forefront. We talked about Haymaker, not to skip down there to that one, but I think that's another solid line with Synthicaz, and going back to talking about the whole not locking kind of these takeaway abilities behind villainy. I think this is a really interesting card and kind of a mini craving power, if you will.
Mini Craven card. Mini, it reminds me of Command, like the double
Right.
aspect Command card.
Yeah,
Had a similar, stat or play line.
right. Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of interesting stuff on this slide. So, where do you want to go next?
I think we can just quickly run through these ones. I love this when defeated ability on this guy, and if you use Phantom on this guy, he comes in on turn 2 with 3 resources. It comes with a 2/2 body in space and a 3/2 body on the ground, which is already a perfectly fine stat line with a when defeated ability.
Right.
Works super great with that new Masasi trooper that was announced, the 3-cost 4/4. Didn't make it on this slide. I didn't think it was interesting enough to include. I think Intimidator is just like a new but worse Endless Legions, you know?
Yeah. It's, we got to get a legendary
cute.
triangle in every freaking color, I guess. It is.
Yeah,
what it is,
I think that it's just Bail Organa's ability, but worse. You only get 3 of them, and you're de-resourcing yourself, which doesn't feel great. But maybe off of these next 2 cards, you draw something that you don't want to off of the new Super Laser Tech-ish card, the Expendable Smuggler, right? Or Mercenary, Expendable Mercenary. I love Stockpile. Stockpile, I think, is super neat, especially being able to get to that early with Krennic and go from 4 to 6 and flip on your next turn.
It's interesting to me, like the 2 ramp cards we see here, they're definitely a lot slower than the 2 that we're known, like we've come to know with Resupply and Super Laser Tech. And I guess Stockpile, like, are you going to even be able to play that against an aggro style deck if you're playing it on curve? I feel like you got to try and get this thing out early with credit tokens or whatever, or maybe after it's you play Expendable Mercenary, right? Because 6 costs when you're not doing anything on the board immediately could be tough. But if you go from if you spend a credit to play this, and you go from 5 to 7, and you can flip your Krennic, that's a whole different story. So, then I'm thinking about Bail Organa looping with Expendable Mercenary. That could be potentially quite enjoyable.
And
then I alluded to it on the Vader slide, but your newest 2-card combo with Intimidator and Synthicaz with Vader, where you're returning your entire row to your hand, and then except for the Synthicaz plot, and then and then you flip, and then you're just dumping your entire resource row basically with Synthicaz to do infinity to base. I think that's really, really interesting. But even outside of that, right? You're turning a very large resource turn into double that. Yeah. Because you're playing now 20 resources with all the credit tokens or something. So
you better hope you win that turn.
Yeah, but with Vader, it could be really, really crazy with a one turn kill with the only resource you would leave down is Synta, and then you would just pay the credits you just got for it when you flip Vader and dump your whole hand for 20 or some shit. So it could be wild. It could be really wild, but obviously you got to have the right cards and get to it without dying first. So
yeah, I like what you were saying about like these ramp cards being pushed later into the game, because I think that I'm wondering how Control players will view this, because now I don't know if these are immediate slams into the deck. I think that you have to be more careful about when and how you're ramping, because you're right. The 6 resource turn is huge at this point in the game. We're already seeing 4 resource cards starting to need to have like an immediate effect on the board. And then if you're on Krennic, you play 6 and you're flipping into an empty board.
Yeah,
it hurts,
Well, as a red-yellow player, somebody that likes to play games in a much more fast manner than this, if I see somebody play Stockpile on curve, right, I have my entire turn now to do God knows what, like double Sudden Ferocity if I need to on my leader. We're sitting in the house at that point. And so, you really got to be sure with Stockpile, I think. But again, if you can get it out early with credits, I think that's really going to be solid. But I think it's appropriately costed, and I think people are definitely going to try and play with both. Honestly, a lot of these cards on this slide here.
Yeah, I think what I appreciate about this game is we have these late game cards or later game cards that add resources into your row permanently, but then you get cards like Katana, which come in 2 or 3 turns sooner, and then they have the chance for interaction with your opponent, which in a chess game makes it all the more interesting to think about. But I like these kinds of cards that Jedi Consular, Gonk Droid, and
Yeah,
Katana
yeah.
that reduce the cost of the next X that you play, whether that's events or units.
Right.
And interesting, I'm loving this Underworld synergy. I'm hoping that it's not just the Jabba deck that they're building it for. I'm hoping that
Cat
there's one,
boom.
yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that there's maybe a blue guy waiting around the corner
Yeah.
for us.
We'll see. My thing with this Katana card, right, is like the win played is not going to get any use when you play it on curve. Like,
Yeah.
I guess unless you maybe somehow got credits the turn earlier. So you got to try and finagle that into a curve, and it might get a little wonky at that point. But I mean, if you're starting to spend credits and getting this ability to go off too, you could really start to cheat some stuff out. So
Yeah.
I think the stats are appropriately costed because of that, because it is kind of that double-edged sword in a way. But
Yeah, we
could
saw
be
it.
interesting.
We saw it happen on stream, where on the 4 resource turn, the player was able to put down the katana and
Yeah.
then use one resource or use one credit that was available, and then
Yeah, yeah.
to play a 2 cost card, which I think is maybe just the use case here. Is I mean, it gets out Salacious Crumb for free,
Oh, yeah.
puts an extra body on the board. But I think you're right. I mean, we're really going to need to wait and see.
Yeah. So the last few on this slide, I mean, Syndicate Spice Runner, I mean, it's obviously 2/2, but I mean, it's
Draws a
arguably a
card.
better Mon Mothma because it hits back a little bit harder. I mean, you're
Hmm.
searching the top 3 when played on a 2-drop, so I mean, you can't be too mad
Yeah.
about that.
Draws
We
cards,
love
kills
those abilities.
spies,
Yeah. Oh, kill spot. Yeah. That's nice, actually.
kills Karis.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I didn't even think about those kinds of use cases, but I mean, trading into those things and
Yeah.
getting an extra card is pretty solid for sure.
And then double cross, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. It's
Yeah, a worse change of heart, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, like we love Change of Heart because I could give you a 0 cost unit to take your 12 cost unit. Now I have to. I mean, I appreciate that they're making us think as players that
Right.
now this isn't an immediate. Am I really scared of the X amount of credit tokens that I'm going to give them? And it's not
Yeah.
even, you can't do it as your first turn because you might jump from, they might go from 7 resources to 7 resources and 6 credits. And a 13
Yeah.
resource turn is way scarier when I just spent 6 resources
Yeah.
taking
I think
one of your units.
I think you illustrate a really interesting point too. Like, never before have we played this game to where we're gonna be able to do things like spend 13 credits that are
Yeah.
or 13 resources. Like, the whole credit dynamic is so interesting because it's temporary ramp, right? We're not having to deal with. I mean, I say temporary ramp, but like it is. But when we see other ramping cards on the slide, but I mean, they're making it seemingly very easy to make credits. So I'm going to be really interested to see kind of what counter plays there are to that.
Yeah.
Because there needs to be some sort of checks and balances, I think, or else we're just going to have big shitters after big
Yeah.
shitters.
Right now, I think the only counter we have is Ray with this, where I have
Yeah.
an 8 cost Ray. You have a 1 cost, or let's say a 2 cost smuggler.
Right.
I'll go ahead and take that 2 cost smuggler, and because I took control of the lower cost unit, I now also get that 6 credit back
Yeah.
in the form of
Yeah.
tokens, because Ray can't leave my board.
Right.
But
Well, I mean,
besides that,
I guess that begs the question now. Is like, would you not just want to spend 6 doing something else instead of just grabbing a 2 cost guy?
Exactly.
But, so, I mean, it's an interesting card.
exactly.
I wanted to, like, last note that I thought of for stockpile too before we go on here is I was thinking of that in a Navar Chris deck. I think that could be interesting. You go immediately to a flip turn, and if you have the force, I mean, that's 8 damage coming at your face. So,
Very true.
and again, back to the whole point of being able to play these ramp cards and heroism decks is really interesting. So,
Love it.
all right, few cards here on aggression. A lot of these were revealed very recently, so these are my colors. These are cards I like seeing. Red and yellow and stuff. It's just there's a lot of wonky stuff that can happen with that, and you're playing multiple cards a turn, so it's a lot of interesting stuff. But we'll start top left at another big fat legendary triangle. Fulminatrix, but maybe a little bit better against go wide stuff. I mean, actually,
Yeah.
definitely is. I mean, it's less damage, right? But it's a good win play on attack. It's a legendary triangle.
Yeah. As long as they're not go wide in space, because then you're dropping a 9 cost 9/4, dealing 3 damage to yourself. It's tough.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but sometimes you.
But hey, maybe you only need that one removal spell.
Right.
If that comes in and that like against a Vader yellow deck, if you manage to get credits, or stockpile your way into a persecutor, and then there goes their entire board.
That's true. Bombing run all over again, but now you got a unit for them to try and fight back into. That's a good point, actually. We got a rare base that was voted on, the Shipbreaking Yard. This card is going to go so hard in foil, I think. That was my first note on it, because I don't really know what else to do with this thing right now. We're going to need some more discard synergy for sure. I really wish it said return it to your hand instead of the top of your deck, but
Agreed.
we'll see. I mean, 4 health for seemingly not the best ability is interesting.
Yeah.
I
was interested, like fixing your deck seems to be a cunning ability.
Yeah.
Drawing cards seems to be a red ability. Typically in the past, maybe they've moved past that, but to me it doesn't make it. Like 4 health to make sure that I get one maybe good card is just seems a little silly to me.
Well, and it's not even like maybe, you're just filtering your deck 1 card basically.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this is. So there's discard synergies that we see on the screen here. And I mean, some good ones too. But again, 4 health for this, I don't know. And the first inclination too is to pair it with Vader, who is in red. So I don't know that we're doing mono red Vader, especially when we're losing 3 sets worth of cards. I don't know. We'll see. So next one, this is kind of a card that I love to see. One of these red yellow tempo-y kind of haha gotcha plays where maybe I give you a spy and then I'm doing 4 damage to something else for the cost of just 1. I mean, 1 cost to deal 4 is pretty dang solid. And then the other note that I just had, and this is just how my brain works sometimes, is the same thing with the double cross card, which again is going to cost way more than this, but they give your opponent the Savage Press card and then kill it and then watch them not have the force. So they have to.
Well, you do have to deal 4 damage to another unit.
Right,
so you can't deal 4 damage to the one that you gave them.
Right, but that is just where my brain goes. It's just
that
giving
does
your
sound
opponent a card that nobody's even playing. So I don't know. It's not going to ever happen. But the thought
just
of
nuke it.
Yeah, the thought of your opponent getting a card that says you have to use the force or take 9 damage, and there's no way for them to get the force is just funny to me. So, and then why don't we start talking about some of these, I think, more exciting cards down here on the bottom.
Yeah, Fear and Dead Men. I mean, like one of the most iconic comic book scenes for the Star Wars franchise, and probably one of the most iconic Vader lines of all time.
Right.
Unfortunately, strapped to a card that I just don't think is super useful. I mean, it brings me back to the single reactor ignition. I think maybe in a deck where you don't super care about ending the game early, that 4 cost, is it ground unit specifically, or is it an arena?
Fear and Dead Men?
Yeah, so it's ground unit specifically.
It's deal 4 damage to each enemy ground unit. So
and it just seems like I think most of the time, 90% of the time, unless it's Vader Blue, this is just a 7 costs bombing run for your lands, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm not super excited about it.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. Like, at what cost is this actually appropriate, right? Like, I mean, again, I go back to the Intimidator, right? You could play like 2 of them at that point for nothing, because you discard them, and so I mean that could be interesting, right? Like,
that's
I think
true.
The Intimidator goes pretty hard with Vader and how he's being built around, but I never read the comic book scene, but I'm glad people are happy, and it is a pretty sick looking card art wise, so. There could be something there. I think 5 is probably the baseline where you would even consider to start to play it. A 5 cost card. I mean, I don't think you're ever going to want to play this on 7. I think a real feels bad, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
That's the bombing run stat line is 5. 5 cost for 3 damage to everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
add an extra pip to that and give it 1 more damage. Make it
Yeah.
arena focused.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it pairs well with the ship breaking yard too.
Yeah.
If you can get that going. So we'll see. I don't know how the hell to pronounce this. I guess is what we're gonna go with. But terrible stat line. But I love the idea of playing this guy in the new Cassian deck and forcing your opponent to find some sort of answer because it's never going to get hit at that point. And then if you're taking raid 4 to the face every turn, that's not going to be good for you. So
Yeah.
that's the one case that I thought of for this guy. Love the traits.
This girl, actually, she's a bounty hunter.
All right, there you go. Sorry, my bad. Hand up. Can't really tell from the image, but we are a pro-Tuscan household here, so that's my bad.
Yeah, interesting. She's actually also from a comic book related to Vader. She's not actually a Tuscan Raider. She's a rebel sniper that's disguised as a Tuscan Raider that gets hired by bounty hunters. So I think it's interesting that the tags that they put on her, it's not. This is just a person that was perceived to be a Tuscan Raider. Doesn't actually have any of the background. But hey.
It worked. It worked for me because I thought this was a Tuscan Raider. So.
Fools everybody.
Yeah. Last card on the slide is, I think, maybe pound for pound one of the better ones here if you can get the wind plate to trigger, especially. Mm-hmm. But even outside of that, I mean, I love this card.
It's Jango Fett. I mean, and it's Jango Fett, and we're back, baby. I mean, like everything that made Jango good appears in this card. It's tempo with the shields and the exhausts. It's a solid stat line at its. I know that we hated on the 3 cost 3/3,
right?
But it's that shield that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a shield on this thing, it can just control the entire space arena the entire game. I mean. You're pinging things off and you're exhausting things. Like this card is, I love this card. And one of my first inclinations is to go and just find other ways to discard besides some of the stuff that you see on the screen here. I think maybe the best case is probably Marin. Obviously, that's a little clunky because they both cost 3, and it's not the most ideal to really be playing under curve after that. But
yeah.
I mean, this thing can just control the entire space arena. Sick art too, which is, again, we love to see it. So,
yeah, I think every single card on here will look gorgeous, and it's hyperspace and hyperfoil.
Yeah, and and I think the best illustration of it is the top right one is the blending of the multi-aspect rainbow colors. Like they're just cool. Sure. They're just cool. So, all right, let's go ahead and talk about some of the the cutting cards here, which. There's a few cards on here that I'm just over the moon about.
There
I'm
are
very excited to play. So
there are 3 cards that I super love, 2 cards that I think are good, and then 1 card that I really like that I don't think we'll see any play.
I think I know where a lot of those are falling.
Spacecrafty is amazing. I mean, there's not. I think the conversation stops there. 2 cost, 2/2 shielded. Everybody loves it.
Yeah, I mean, we've not seen anything like that in space, so.
We're loving the Jyn Erso. I had to put her on this slide because she wouldn't fit in the command.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, a lot of command this week, but yeah,
like that the ability to choose whether I get a 2 cost 3/3 or I tempo your leader, and it's any unit. So if she comes in off of anything, off of Kelleran or Phantom or something that drops a unit in, she can give that experience onto the Kelleran or onto your Captain Typho or anything else that needs an experience token, which is something that I really like about it.
Right. And I mean, I think it's I just love this card. I mean, these are 2 colors that I do enjoy playing more so than some of the others, and like being able to have the flavor text too that command typically comes with the experience, and the exhaust that typically comes with cunning is so cool. I mean, it's a Battlefield Marine on a stick, or it's a Leia Organa on a stick. So Spark isn't rotating, folks. It's still here. And I think the other really cool thing about it, and we'll talk about it later with the Weequay Pirate, is like this is not a 2 cost that you're necessarily like depressed to see later in the game, because it can tap down something and offer that 3/3 later in the game. I love this card, and it's a
Yeah.
great character on a really good card, and it's a turn one. I love this card. So
I'm glad they did Jin some justice.
yeah. She's got something there. Although we
Um,
have started to talk ourselves into the leader a little bit. So.
Yeah, Rose is super cool. I mean, it's
Yes.
Fast Falcon. Again, we're seeing these Spark of Rebellion staples come back different.
Yeah.
But interesting enough, I mean, when I'm looking at my cunning and my cunning decks, I'm not seeing a lot of non-unique.
Yeah.
Spy tokens is the obvious thought here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, as somebody who's been playing Sabe religiously lately, that's kind of a faith in your friends kind of stuff with maybe the Stolen Star Path unit. We're going to get a little bit more value out of, I think, upgrades moving forward with some of the removal going away. So, you know, I don't think you're ever playing this unless she can interplay ready. I mean, 5 for 5. 5 is just never a greatish stat line. And I think this is just another card that's going to see play as more sets get released and you see those non-unique units. But Spy Tokens definitely is the easiest way that I see this working out. But, I mean, I think it is a better Corellian Hounds, though. So,
yeah,
you know, I think it's a really good ability. And obviously it's a really good ability. And I think, you know, the downside might be you're hampering your deck building a little bit. Like, there's a 3-cost unit that you would rather play, but it's a unique unit. So,
I mean, that's how I'm thinking about it. Is that
Right.
at the 4 cost? I mean, I've been playing Hanwhan Green for the last few weeks, so I'm just kind of brain dead in that position.
Yeah.
But it's like your Ahsoka Tano, your Captain Typho, your Kira. I mean, which I guess we won't really have anymore. But a lot of those 4 drops that are higher statted with the good abilities are all going to have that unique tag.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, speaking of Han 1, we won't get there quite yet, but there is a Han 1 still going to be staying in the game.
Yeah.
But we'll go to Weequay Pirate real quick. I can imagine if you were to have read this months ago, and this was somebody's comment on the YouTube when they revealed it, and I thought it was just funny. But if you're reading that win played without the knowledge of credits, you're probably like, what the hell does that even mean?
Yeah.
But you know, and this is like the dichotomy of Jin to me. Like 2-3 stat line on a 2-cost unit is pretty subpar at this point of where we've seen Star Wars Unlimited grow to. Obviously, if you get the win played, it's above rate. But I just don't like deck building around cards that I need to add to my 2-cost, suite at that point, and they're understated.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm playing 2-cost stuff and it's not doing what it needs to do on the first turn, then kind of what's the point to me? But, it's
This
interesting. It's got Saboteur, I guess.
This is the one that I love.
Okay, all right.
For no reason that I think it's actually probably pretty terrible. But I'm thinking about the number of cards that you can see. I mean, I love putting one card that comes in with others. Again, back to what I like. What we were saying before is those Kelleran Becks. I mean, Kelleran coming in with a 2-cost 3/4 Saboteur.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel bad. You have that new what's his name with the arms, the yellow.
Oh, I don't remember. He's on the next slide, but
that replays a unit that costs 3 or less, and comes in back in shielded. So a 2-cost 3/4 shielded Saboteur. I mean, that's pretty spicy. But my favorite is the Qui-Gon Jinn deck. Qui-Gon always playing his units without paying for them. Earning your 3-cost 3/5 into a 2-cost 3/4 Saboteur is we've had worse deals.
Yeah.
I think it's Copium for sure.
Yeah.
I just love Qui-Gon and I want him to work. I don't love this card as much as I love the next one.
One more note before we get to Bix, because I could probably spend hours talking about Bix.
Yeah.
But I think that the cool thing about a Weequay Pirate is when we think about Data Vault moving forward, right? Data Vault, in my mind, takes a hit because we're losing a lot of cards, and Data Vault needs that redundancy to be a solid thing. So now, all of a sudden, if we're putting in ways like you mentioned with Kelleran, where we can be a little bit more over-indexed on 2-drops, that maybe we're not playing turn 1,
Yeah.
I think that makes more sense there. But I think in a standard 50-card deck without Data Vault, I don't know that this guy's ever making the list with your 2-card or your 2-cost suite turn 1 plays. So, All right. Well, let's just say Bix for last because it can.
Sure. Yeah.
I think Galen was the most recent reviewed one, right?
Yeah, I think so. He was one of the more recently
Yeah.
revealed. I
Great
love
artwork.
him.
Great artwork.
Yeah, great work. Handsome Squidward. He's
Maybe.
got that cut chin. You know, he
Yeah.
looks.
He's looking great. I love the flavor of it. I mean, I'll say that. We'll start there. I think the only use case is going to be specifically aggro pilot decks, or not aggro necessarily, but just like space decks in general. Like
Yeah.
paying 3 to give this guy to your teammate, or not teammate, to your opponent is, for that ability. Especially if they can just trade into something on the ground, and then
Yeah.
it's like, what have we really done here? So
We
maybe
had a-
we'll see.
Yeah, we had a great conversation about it as a team. That
Yeah.
he turns on other stuff for your opponent, stuff like what was his name, Zeb, and
Yeah.
Ezra,
Yeah.
like those cards that like to see those other aspects.
Right,
That
right.
you're basically
Yeah, this
and
is-
Sabine's masterpiece.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
a clear downside to it.
you can't really play him into something that you have that onto a field that he can swing into. I do love the flavor with Krennic, where it's like if you now that you have Krennic, I can't give you a unit because you'll just kill him off and create a credit token.
Yeah, that's fun.
I'm paying 3 resources to to ramp you,
Yeah.
but I do think that it might be worth having like a 1 or 2 of. It's a sneaky game ender. On
Yeah, no.
especially with Vader Yellow, it's looking to
Yeah,
close
Vader
out the game
Yellow
at
is-
6.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, no, Vader Yellow could be nuts because, like, I the 2 cost on the ties with the Victor Leader art was significant to have like the health there, but like at the end of the day, you're really looking for that raid 1 or that +1 attack. So that could definitely be another Victor Leader in a way if you need the, say you want 4 Victor Leaders, quote unquote. So, all right, star of the show, Bix Colleen. I mean, this card is just. I mean, what are we like?
yep.
I think this card is bonkers, man. Like,
we'll
it's
put
Han
in-
1. It's Han 1. Like,
It's on
that's
one.
what this
Yeah,
is.
it's a 7 cost unit on turn 5 or turn 4.
No, and like it's not something that you have to wait for to flip your leader, because as somebody that has been trying to beat Han 1s for, I don't know, the entirety of me playing this game, there's been ways with like No Good to Me Dead and Bamboozle and like Leia and stuff like that, but like that does not exist here. Like, you get the win played on a solid stat stick line. It comes out earlier. Like, this card is just bonkers.
The solid stat line to me is probably what's craziest. That it's like, I mean, you're telling me uncommon. This, like, her being unique is not enough. Like a 4 cost 4/5. I mean, that's the premium stat line for that cost, and having a ramp ability. So she's probably sticking around for at least 1 swing.
Right.
Is just
Nah, I just like, I don't know, man. Like, obviously, discarding cards from your hand is never a good thing. Like, we don't ever want to like not have shit.
unless
to
it
play.
is.
But
I mean,
like,
this
it didn't
counts
stop Han
for-
1. So
Yeah.
I mean,
this
obviously,
counts
we're losing
for-
Smuggle. So, but
Although I'm thinking about this now, that would count for what's that card? So you Fear and Deadman. So you play Vader Yellow, New
Yeah.
Vader, Law Vader. You attack with her, discard 1 card. Now you have 6 resources, and that card costs 6 because it
or you
costs 1
play
less for
the
discarding a card.
you play the TIE Defender or whatever the heck it is
Mm-hmm.
for 2 because you have a credit token now. Like, I mean, like, the use cases for this card are just going to be outrageous. And again, we said it a million times.
Yeah.
I feel like throughout this video, like, not locking it behind heroism or villainy. Although I'm not so sure about that. Nothing really screams villainy about Bix to me. But hey, I love it for deck building purposes.
Yeah, so I think that's it for all the great cards. At the end of this next slide here, I kind of put in all the filler ones. These are the cards that I'm not super excited about. You might like to see them in limited, especially Mahdi. I mean, your leader being healthy.
He should have had
Again.
plot. Like, why?
Should have had plot.
If those, like, you're playing Mazda Mata, if you have an official deck, you're playing other stuff with plot. Like, I don't know. Yeah, he's a limited card, maybe. Maybe.
Oh, I guess that's what I wanted to say about Galen Ursos. He's a Twin Suns card, probably the best Twin Suns card in the game. So fun, super fun. Like it's like, who am I going to give this to? Who,
Yeah.
who wants this chump?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cause some
No,
mayhem.
I really need to start playing some more Twin Suns. I mean, a lot of this is definitely premier thought provoking, more than anything. But Twin Suns is something
Yeah.
that, and that's hey, the pre-cons. That's perfect for me. I'll pick one up because I don't want to spend the time to sleeve up a deck just to dismantle it 2 days later. So
Yeah, we're seeing some of the staple junk, is what I call it. I mean, the yellow card that exhausts totally beyond its cost value, like
Yeah.
not worth it.
yeah,
A waylay, but worse.
yeah,
The staple command card that gives you a temporary bonus.
yeah, yeah. No, it's it's good for limited. Like you got to have these things, but they're not. I mean, I like the Chio Fane card. Like I would say that's a Vader card. 2/4
Yeah.
stat line. Like we got all that going on. But if you're gonna have me draw cards too, I'm all for it. So
That's the only one that I was like, maybe she. He's actually from the same comment as Urk. He's one of the bounty hunters from the Hunting Vader comic.
yeah. I mean, from a certain point of view, maybe from a certain point of view, could be good.
It's interesting, but I it kind of reminds me of When Has Become Now from SEC. It's just like, okay, but if I'm planning on playing cards out of Aspect, then I'm not going to plan on seeing one of the 3 copies of a 50 card or 60 card deck.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that you're gonna want to put this in your deck.
Yeah. Like I'd rather just play Hera, or I'd rather play Callus,
Yeah. Or just pay the 2.
or just pay the due at this point. I mean, with the number of credits, I mean, and I think we're seeing that the high resource games are going to happen more often and sooner, I think, in this game. But overall, I think the set's looking super exciting. Legendary, the rares are very good. The legendaries are even better. The art looks fantastic. The leader design is exciting, I think, in every way. I think even the ones that we're not so excited about, like Jin, I think even then we can still brew something.
Yeah.
It's not totally hopeless.
Yeah.
But looking forward to seeing this set out in March.
Yeah, no, that was week 2 spoilers brought to you by the Raleigh Raiders here, and you guessed it, Raleigh, North Carolina. Hopefully, we're going to be able to have internet to bring week 3 to you. This crazy ice storm's coming through, so we'll see what the hell that's going to happen there. But that's what we got for you this week. Some I say brief, no idea how long this video was. Now we're rambling, but those are some thoughts on some of these new cards that we saw this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you'll stay tuned for the episodes to come. Thank you.
See ya.